Tonight, President Trump saying after the death of Army Sgt. Class Elis Barreto in a Taliban attack, peace talks with the Taliban are over.
They're dead. They're dead. As far as I'm concerned, they're dead. They thought that they had to kill people in order to put themselves in a little better negotiating position. One happened to be a great American soldier, a wonderful young man from Puerto Rico, families from Puerto Rico. And you can't do that.
And he's defending his controversial idea to hold those now scrapped talks with the Taliban at Camp David, the site of previous presidential negotiations.
Well, Camp David's held meetings with a lot of people that would have been perceived as being pretty tough customers and pretty bad people.
The U.S. and Taliban have been negotiating a deal that could lead to a U.S. withdrawal of troops from Afghanistan. But the idea of a Camp David meeting sparking divisions within the president's national security team. According to U.S. officials, Secretary of State Mike Pompeo supported it. National Security Advisor John Bolton was vehemently opposed. So were key Republicans like Liz Cheney, who tweeted, "No member of the Taliban should set foot there ever." The president also saying he's considering withdrawing U.S. troops from Afghanistan even without a deal with the Taliban. All of that likely to come up here in North Carolina, where the president will be stumping for the Republican congressional candidate tonight.
Hey, NBC News fans, thanks for checking out our YouTube channel. Subscribe by clicking on that button down here and click on any of the videos over here to watch the latest interviews, show highlights, and digital exclusives. Thanks for watching.